He's saying refined is more expensive. He's talking about what he saw in his village in Pakistan. And this is the problem. Literally, Bani Israel was characterized as what? They are bad in dunya and no akhirah. They are terrible in dunya. And that's what the Ummah today is in that state. We're losing dunya and akhirah. Somebody said, brother, we have to make money. I said, what more money you can make? In the West is known. The knowledge is the most money making. As a matter of fact, Elon Musk companies, their biggest income from selling the knowledge. It's a data bank. Selling the information is the biggest business. We talked about that graph in economics. And that's the one we refuse. Even for dunya, you should seek more knowledge. Because the knowledge is money. The most money is in knowledge. So both deductive and inductive logic, they have to have hadith as a second premise. As well, the drone is not flying. So what hadith can I apply? How did Prophet gain his knowledge? How did he Prophet interpret physical phenomena? That's what you have to investigate.
But
The process, dua first.
Did
Prophet has a very, very straightforward way of investigating. There's no bigger alim than Prophet, right?
Yeah.
How did he do? Is there any better healer than him? Is there a better scientist than him? No. See, it's not like, what did Prophet say if he saw a drone? Right? Prophet said, what is the problem? You want something to fly? Say, find out what is the problem. Today, the most important research, and I posted that in the group, most aggressive research in the West is to use, for instance, birds, eagles, to catch the drones. Isn't that from Quran? Don't you think Prophet would think, what is this? How can I solve it with natural way? If you use water gun, water gun can have high force.
Yeah.
If you use water gun, they will penetrate the system. The artificial system, so-called artificial intelligence, every chip will collapse with any bit of water, and it will short circuit.
Also falling of rain.
So what do you think? We think we will go more force, we will bring it down with force, blow it up. Who taught you that? The West.
But we can't damage them in water. They are well protected. The chips and all those things are really well protected.
Yes, I'm talking about that. You can cut steel with water. Technology is there. You can cut steel. But I'm not giving solution right away. I'm just giving, you have to go open to all kind of solutions. Then, most important is I talked about eagle. It's absurd. Brother, we brought you here to teach us drone and you're teaching us. It literally happened. I said, brother, we brought you to lecture about drone and you're lecturing us about hijama. This is the mindset. We do not see the connection.
No, we got so much from you. Thank you, sir.
But it was literally true in the defense ministry. So, doctor, you are teaching us hijama. I thought we were making rockets. So they do not see the connection, because that's what happened to us. So coming back, jamming the signals. The next most important, I do not see any research project here. I do not see any research project. You have engineering projects,
Yeah.
But these are research projects. You cannot identify one aspect. This is research. Making a wheel or making a drone with 3D is not research, because you're copying somebody. Research is what? Creative something you created from new.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
right.
Mr.
But the point is that the work of Kemp is engineering, isn't it? Engineering, making room.
It's engineering application.
Yeah,
It's not
engineering
research.
application. And why they call the center the research center is to just review these theories and apply it.
Yes, it's not research.
That's it. But
It's design.
one can argue with having resources, the resources we have.
I give
hand.
you, that's why I don't know whom I'm advising. If I have to give advice, first thing I would say, find a research project to find the signals that will interfere with the drone signals. Biggest problem in Ukraine was their drones were coming down because of the jamming.
Yeah.
It's so simple. But that's not a project here. So, natural system never occurs to us. Jamming or creative ideas not occurring. Start with, you have to have the vision that I want to do research that will put us better than anybody else's. I'm not going to copy anybody, I'll do better. That, the notion is not present. Then people say, brother, doctor, you're criticizing our country. What is the problem with this statement? Abdullah, what is the problem with this statement? Do you have a headache?
No.
Okay. If somebody tells you, if you tell me, the doctor, you're criticizing our country, what is the problem with this statement?
You are criticizing your country.
What is the assumption?
I would say you are not criticizing our country.
No, I'm not talking. No, that's fine. I appreciate that. I'm not saying you are saying that. But if somebody, say Talha told me, or Saib told me, doctor, you're criticizing our country. What is the problem with that statement? What is the assumption?
Yeah, one can imagine the person who says that.
He's assuming that it's his country, not mine. You see falsehood how it starts? First assumption, it's his country. When Omar confronted the Egyptian governor, we talked about the hadith, he said, but Amirul Mu'minin, it's my money. He said, what? You have money now? You have your own money? It's the same way. You have a country and I don't? Like I'm a foreigner here?
Yeah. So that's the thing the person
First-
considers.
Yes. He is assuming it's my country. It's his country, not mine. Second assumption, criticizing is a bad thing. So what happened to Amirul Mu'minin?
Yeah, even if it's required, he is.
It's not an obligation.
Yeah,
Amr bin Maruf exactly means that.
yeah.
Doesn't say Amr bin Maruf only for Amirul Mu'minin. It's the obligation. That's why the woman stood up. Against what? Amirul Mu'minin. Did Amirul say, shut up, sit down, I'm the Amirul Mu'minin. Who are you? And you're telling me you are criticizing our country? You should say, Alhamdulillah, brother. Thank you. But I'm not saying somebody did it. This is the notion.
Yeah.
Be very careful. Afghan people are very sensitive, brother. You don't want to disturb them. They are a very proud nation. You do not want to disturb. I said, don't lecture me. Tell me if I'm doing something that is in violation of Quran and Sunnah. Don't lecture me otherwise. Every day I come across this. Be careful, brother. They would say everything about Afghan people. Then they would say these are the guys with most iman. They would quote Abdullah Azzam, that he said they are ready to give up their life. I saw in other department, said, Doctor, we are itching, we're dying to go for jihad for Palestine. Same guy, he's addicted to energy drink. I said, give it up. He said, it's not haram. So brother, you cannot even give up energy drink and you want to give up your life for Palestine? Not for your own good. So there is nifaq, there is the hypocrisy everywhere. So before deconstruct Newton and Einstein, let's deconstruct ourselves. Where is our nifaq? Where is the stuck point? So we showed that last week, and I'll just quickly review. Viscosity is assumed to be linear, and if you're satisfied with that linear relationship, you would miss out on the new discussion that viscosity has a memory. It's a function of time. And I showed the example of my own students' work that showed that both rock and fluid have memory.
So an important point you made here, that when someone is saying something to us, so we should consider and review the things we said or say, whether it is in compliance with Quran or and Hadith or not.
So two rules. So the fundamental rule in Islam doesn't lecture. Prophet, you talked about the Hadith, he would always asking question. Because real question is the one. Quite often we try to lecture people and give nasiha, which is completely uncalled. Who asked you? Did I ask you, brother, teach me how to teach? They're just randomly saying. Talking all kind of nonsense about Afghan people. They are not ready. Most of them are munafiq. Be careful. Why? Did I ask you for advice? So limit your suggestion. Limit your talk to an actual question. Somebody asks you, brother, I have a problem. I have this heart problem or this. Answer that question. Don't lecture how to run his life. You're not accountable for that. So that's one. And if somebody asks you, wants to give nasiha, you tell them, thank you. I'm sure your intention is good, but is that in violation of Quran and Sunnah? You know what they will tell you? So of course not, but if you stick to Sunnah too much, then you will get in trouble, because these guys are Hanafi or Safi, they will call you Salafi, and you will get in trouble. So this is why I minimize talking. People give suggestions, I say thank you, and I just do not try to argue, because you can never win. So what you are doing, you are talking bad about other people and instilling fear. So I cannot even talk. I say, we'll go give the classic example of the way I was praying, and I was criticized that you should not raise your hand, even though it's Sahih Bukhari that before Ruku and Sizda he would raise his hand. Because people think you're Salafi. Is that a good advice? Somebody is practicing Sunnah and you're terrorizing him. For 1 year I never worried about that. Nobody called me Salafis. But once this brother told me, I got scared. Is that a good thing? Then the example given, Abdullah Azzam came here and told his followers to follow the same way they pray. Abdullah Azzam is not an evidence. He's not infallible like Prophet. So you'll always see a false equivalence. And if you think it's a matter of so-called dunya, in akhirah, in matter of Dollar size is even worse. Everywhere. If you talk about that, your funding will stop. And people become quiet. So what you learn out of these slides, that you cannot take anything for granted. You cannot say, I will take viscosity as linear. You have to always get your evidence from Quran and Hadith, or natural. Same with rock. We talked about this and we showed this is sustainable. Everything without interference of any artificial. We have sunlight, then primary producer, secondary producer, consumer, and they die, and the life is cycle. There is no reason for it to break down. Fully sustainable. What happens with that? The moment we bring in artificial matter, even against the sun, we start the facade. And that becomes the cancer of the environment. Never goes away. Any artificial you created, it never goes away. And it accumulates. If you include that, that's your global warming. That's your freon. That's your everything that you have seen that created a mess. It starts with first a drop of artificial. So for every facade, every pollution starts with artificial. Then this topic came up again in terms of economics. We talked about Ummata Wasata today. Wasata is this, optimized. That's why I translated Wasata as balanced or optimized. So Islam is not capitalism plus socialism divided by 2. It's optimized on everything. See, this is very important example for economic control, right? We have totalitarian system where everything is regulated. You cannot breathe. The government does everything. When that control goes up, anarchy goes down, anarchy goes up, meaning everybody is doing whatever they want.
Yeah, of course. As Rasulullah said that Khairul Umur Absatuha. Khairul Umur Absatuha.
Yeah.
And also Rasulullah said that you should not do ifrat in tafrit in Islam.
So, on every matter, Islam is the optimized. See, when you are anarchy, you have no accountability. It is the Wild West. Islam optimizes government control, accountability. No other system exists like that. And that's in economics. Do you know in Islam, you cannot even regulate price. During rationing, right? In Prophet's time when there was shortage of food, right? So naturally there's pressure to force people to sell at a lower price, right? Did Prophet allow that? No. Government cannot control. Economics becomes a mess. Economics is individual matter. You can tell them, but you cannot regulate them. Can you force people to be more charitable beyond 2.5% zakat, which is obligatory, unless there is war? You cannot impose tax. We need tax because the government cannot unfreeze the money from US. There is no room for that. So, in economics, government control, taxation, they have to be minimum. Maximum on individual. You make them think of their own responsibility to their parents, to their neighbor. That's how the society thrives.
But if they intentionally increases, the people intentionally increases the prices, in what to do? For example, they are purchasing things from big markets or imported from other countries,
Yes.
and you can see that they are getting their profit, but
See,
then
two things are illegal in Islam. You cannot profiteer, right? You know how profiteering means? You cannot price gouge. How is that controlled? By having competition, right? You want to make more profit? There's no monopoly in Islam. It's the capitalism that says there is no monopoly. They are the one who monopolizes everything. All the big corporations bought everybody else, and at the end, Israel controls everything. Islam is opposite. There is no monopoly. The true free market is Islam. That's why we're talking about the optimized. So, you keep the market free. So, Sanabul is selling something high price, but Abdullah is selling at lower price. People go to him.
Yeah.
Let it balance it out. Then Sanabul will say, "Oh, what did I do?" Right? Then Sanabul will say, "But I'm buying from US. My cost is more higher. So why are you buying from US?"
yeah, but in today's community, you rarely find the people who who brings down the costs. No, they compete with each other, but in increasing prices, not in decreasing.
Mm-hmm.
So how we can address this problem?
Yesterday I was in the shop and my daughter reminded me that is confirmed now. But now it's no longer Ramadan. All the kids are out and they are all buying foreign goods. Because this is, see, people say, well, what can you do? We are poor. But these are not poor people. What are they spending money on? All the Americans. You see, Kulfi is cheap.
Yeah.
Because it's local. They're buying the Magnum or whatever that is, the Turkish one, 5 times more expensive. So it goes back to education. Why? Why are you doing that? And they are stacking up. We could not see that the milk and dairy shop next door is empty. Everything is in the so-called supermarket, everything processed. And I took a picture today of the olive. My daughter likes olive and we could not find regular olive, so we bought the container one. And what does it have? Black olives, water, salt, acidity regulator. Do you think it's halal? It's not completely artificial, it actually is a poison. Most likely so. Lactic acid, again artificial. Color stabilizer. Who cares what color your olive is? Then, ferrous glucose. And my daughter asked me, what is that then? I said, it's a poison for sure. Why did they put poison? So olive is preserved. And guess what? Olive is the best preservative. Olive oil does not rot. Isn't it true? To make pickles, you put olive oil, so bacteria do not grow in it.
But what about olives itself? Can
No.
it preserve for
No, all you have to do is put This I did the research in Canada. All you have to do is put, instead of water, put in olive oil. Not a whole lot, just coat it
Okay,
with olive
so
oil.
putting olive oil putting olive in olive oil.
Yes, that's it.
You
Then you
can-
do not need any.
Then it is preserved.
But what did they get? Do you think what did they get the formula from? Downloaded from internet. Same problem that you're facing with drone. They saw it on website. But it's poison. Don't you think it's a Dean question?
Sir, good, great that you came back to drone topic. Important point you made there. That you said that the reason they are successful, they are researching.
Yeah.
They are researching.
Yes.
That was the point you made there.
Yeah.
So, but that doesn't mean that they ignore Bernoulli theories.
No,
They
no.
are utilizing.
No, it's not.
That's
It means
why
they have
it-
probably something else that you do not know. Like viscosity equation. Does any of your software package? It's not just Bernoulli. Bernoulli doesn't have any viscosity, which it should have. Right?
Yeah, it doesn't.
It should have. It's a very common sense. It's not just density. Viscosity should have a play. That's why Navier-Stokes equation has viscosity, but that's a faulty viscosity because that's linear. So they are way beyond that.
Ah.
So not only they did not use Bernoulli, not only they did not use Navier-Stokes even, they used probably something with memory.
Ah.
We do not know. But blindly you're copying.
Ah.
That's the problem. All I'm asking that you should do your own research because you're more capable of finding solution because you're more connected to Allah.
So that's the point.
So what happens with pathway of artificial? You first, just in the beginning, you have organic, you have biomass continuously. You have any drop of non-organic, like the one we talked about, color stabilizer, acidity, and ferrous gluconate, they are not biomass anymore. The whole thing is polluted. What is this notion? If you put 1 drop of poison in milk, 1 drop, right? 1 drop of toilet water, the whole thing becomes najas, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the science. 1 drop will make it najas. Knowingly, if you are doing that, then you are committing haram. But we do that as a matter of process. We accept that. So if you have 1 drop of artificial, that continuously becomes non-biomass. That's artificial. Every one of them, DDT, freon, plastic, synthetic, or non-biomass, all of them become non-biomass. Once you have non-biomass, even the light is being polluted. How they will react with the light, the product would not be acceptable by nature. This is what you used for our modeling. We tracked down, it's in zero waste engineering. To model this system, we said we track artificials. Any bit of artificial puts in a diverging pathway. So that goes for pollution, for material pollution, and this is the thought process pollution. And there we have this spiraling down to socio-political extremism. Talk about extremism, this is extremism. They contradict each other, by the way, just like one Israel. They tell each other that you know nothing. But at the end, they're part of the same cycle. This is Soviet Union, this is US. This is West, this is Japan. This is China, this is US. They are all spreading down. And this is a fact. These are the biggest names in thought process. They use the same model. Example of that socio-economical extremism. In economics, riba is one of the biggest sins in Islam.
Of course.
Adultery is not a biggest sin. You know that. Riba is. How big? Prophet said there are 70 layers. The lightest layer is to have fornication with your mother. So imagine how heavy it is. But the world, the riba, this is what extremism has happened. $35 trillion US debt. US is bankrupt, meaning everybody is in debt. This is the result, their result. This is what happened to their economy. What is the biggest economy in the world? It's US. What is the second biggest economy in the world? It's China. Sure enough, they are in 16 trillion. Next. So literally, more debt you are, bigger economy you are. Do you see the nature of extremism? Afghanistan has no debt, and that's why Afghanistan is considered to be one of the poorest countries. This is what Dajjal did. Shaitan's completely upside down. It's there from their data. I don't know if I have Afghanistan here or not.
Is it their budget or they are doing riba?
All of them are 100% based on riba.
No, I mean this 116.1%. Is it the percentage of?
No, this is percentage of GDP. What does it mean? North America as a whole, like US, Canada, Mexico. If their GDP is 100, their debt is 116. That's why I call they're bankrupt. And that one is going up. This is the projected one.
In 2029?
Yes. So, guess what? Africa, 66%. And everybody looks at Africa and say, oh, they are so poor. Isn't it true? Middle East, 40.9%. Why is that? Because Middle East is sitting with all the wealth that Allah gave you. That one Israel, remember the favor I have done to you. They're sitting on it. Yet, they are the most dependent. Isn't it true? Who is the most dependent on US? Which government cannot stay 1 hour without the favor of US? 1 hour, they will collapse. All this. So this is what happened. And that's the true extremism.
And in a way, the US is dependent on them.
That's right.
Yeah. Because China, that professor said that if they attack Iran if they attack Iran oil facilities,
Yeah.
Iran will attack Middle East all oil facilities.
Right.
And and the gas prices he was saying about in the US will increase.
Skyrocket.
Yeah.
And who will be most affected? US. Yet US is least scared, and most scared is the Arab countries. You see how Shaitan is illogical. There's no logic to it. So, nature of extremism reaches 10%, spend 50% of emission. We talk about global warming and this CO2, all this. Muhammad Yunus came up with the zero carbon and zero poverty and zero unemployment, all this nonsense. They are talking about the third world. Third world does nothing. You are not polluting anything. It's them polluting.
Sir, is third worldwide is possible or not?
Third World War?
Yeah, worldwide. Worldwide.
I hope it comes soon. Then only then Mahdi will come. I can hardly wait to follow him on horsebacks.
Will we?
Do you guys have horses here?
What?
Then we can make some organic sword and join the
Will from the
real.
war or not?
All the others. But I love them to have one. So they destroy themselves. So this is the bottom line. Top 1%, top 1% hold almost 60% now. 1% holding 60% wealth. Talk about extremism. That's the real extremism. For the third world, it's the interest that has destroyed the third world. Sri Lanka,
Egypt.
70% of the budget,
Yeah.
70% of the budget goes to pay interest. Can you imagine? You're making $1,000, 1,000 Afghani. 780 goes to interest. You're left with $22. %19 goes to education. 18% health. It's destroying. Very similar, Egypt, Ghana, Gambia, Zambia. So they are leaving you no room to breathe. Because why you trusted World Bank, you trusted IMF, International Monetary Fund. And nobody says that.
But what option do they have in hand?
Once you're done, you have no option. The only option they have now is to go on prostration, sujood to Shaitan, and die in that state. It's there. Even now, Bangladesh, good example. Hasina stole billions, like she stole like $40 billion.
$40 billion.
$40 billion for a country that has federal reserve has only 20 billion. 20 billion, she stole 40 billion. It's gone. When Gaddafi died, he had $40 billion. Where did it go? Now she's in a rat hole sitting in India. Where is the money? Nobody knows. So this is the situation. But do you think new government will come and have some fresh? What did they do? They are trying to get money loan from World Bank, International Monetary Fund, they are inviting China, US to invest in Bangladesh.
It's not a good thing.
Of course not. Who do you think sponsored Hasina? It was the US. And you're inviting your rapists to take care of your children. It's just beyond. I actually talk about Grameen Bank in the economics book. The economics 307 to 316. That's why I give the reference to it. It's same. See, we deconstructed all the 10 major Nobel laureates in economics. I'm an engineer, right? Engineering professor. And yet, I was able to reconstruct all the economic theories. And there too, we gave the solution. We talked about this. In page 307, talk about the economics of intangibles. Nobody included in business, in economics, nobody included the role of trustworthiness. Economy where people are trustworthy is the same as the economy where people are not trustworthy. Everybody knows this, of course. Everything that West does is falsehood. That's why the economy is hollow. And we saw that. How did that happen? Because everybody is corrupt.
So, what you mean by trustworthiness, with whom you're doing business, getting dates from them?
Loan, operator, employee, everybody.
Think about their intention and...
Not only intention, their akhlaq. You see, intention is not akhlaq, is the expression. So that's why they fail, governments fail. You go to China, you go to US, but what is their akhlaq? You don't have to talk about intention, what they did to your country. Right?
So akhlaq here covers the marmalade and, you know, the
Business.
contracts and the business and all those things are included in akhlaq, isn't it?
Exactly. If you don't, you're traveling this path.
So the Jeffrey Sachs, that guy, said that you know, taking U.S. as enemy is dangerous,
Of course.
and making friendship with them is fatal.
You have no way out. But Afghanistan of all nations should understand that you can fight all evils. You have fought Soviet Union, you have fought US, and you have defeated them. Now you should not be scared. But this is why education is most important. And, you know, the minister who agreed with me is the most powerful minister. It was Khalifa Sahib, we call it? Haqqani. He put it very nicely. He said, for 2 years we have been waiting for this proposal. They understand how they are implementing it.
So the point is that, as you said, that so we say God defeated these three empires in Afghanistan. That's okay, Alhamdulillah. But our failure was always after the war.
Yes.
So
It's much harder.
yeah, we are scared of that failure,
Yes.
not to face it again and again.
See, this is why education is most important part. And that's why, and among education, which education is the most important? Abdullah, another question. He said, what the heck? He's picking on me all the time. Education in what is the most important?
To be able to defend ourselves in the first place and then defeat others in the new technologies or and modern.
You are being very pragmatic. It's a good answer.
Yeah.
But what is your evidence? Which example you can cite?
Yeah, so evidence can be, can I answer not on his behalf, but he can.
I'll say one thing and
also-
then I'll
Yes.
him.
Yeah,
We can bring the example of the Prophet and his time,
Yes.
how he defeated his enemies and then preserved his government, and based on that we can follow his example and
Yes.
maybe we are able to preserve ourselves.
Yeah, beautiful. But what is the basis of his first thing? What is the biggest legacy of the Prophet? Defense technology.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It is
yeah,
Is-
not defense technology, but
education.
Education. Yeah,
That's it.
How he
he
trained
worked on belief,
Exactly.
ashab.
yeah, on immuno.
You see, he created most educated group in the entire history. Most educated. It was not education in deen and dunya and engineering. It was real education. And that's the first one. So when you want to divide up, and that's, I think it is coming up somewhere. Yes. Yeah, this is a very important. When you talk about university curriculum, the most important one is education in what? Islam, right? Because that's real education. As a branch of education, you can say we'll make engineering, we'll make science, natural science, we'll make economics, but the fundamental education is Islam. That has to come first. So you take this graph, this is very important one. We know seeking knowledge is obligation. Seeking ilm is an obligation on everybody. For once, Prophet used the term Muslimun or Muslimah. Even the Muslim itself, generic one, covers everybody. He specified, what does it mean? So everybody has to do it, individually. You can have a very righteous husband, it's not enough.